Sure. Hello everyone and welcome to the Anime Zillia, and today we'll be kicking off the new year with a big bang. That's right, in episode 9 of RWBY Volume 7, we have a lot of cool things happening, and we're here to talk about it in this review. So, first off, the interrogation of Weiss's father. Finally, we get to see this scumbag quivering in his boots, or chair, whichever you like. He stands and sits in both. As Weiss basically comes forwards and presents video evidence that was given to her by her mother in the previous episode. And just look at that sheepish look on his face. It was priceless. I actually really enjoyed seeing his expressions and his whole, Ironwood, you're just lying to us all. You know, he's so upstrung and uptight and, presents himself well. And then when this comes out, he's just like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I didn't know it was this bad. And I just thought it was kind of funny. So the main talking point for this segment with the whole Jacques and Arthur reveal was the fact that Jacques did in fact give Arthur Watts the access codes for Mantle's system. And Ironwood states that with enough time, Watts could in fact create a lot of problems. And ultimately, lock Atlas and Mantle out of their own systems, which could in turn destroy both Mantle and Atlas. So that's pretty bad. You messed up big time there, Jacques. Now, I guess if you want to talk about another talking point in this segment would be the fact that they also found out that Amity Tower has not been revealed to Watts yet. Now, this is a very good thing because that means that information is safe. For now. But it does also indicate to us as the audience that we have a race against time. Because basically we either need to expose or capture Watts and rescue the people of Mantle because there's a big problem in Mantle at the moment. Before Watts basically finds out and uncovers this Amity Tower project. Because if he or Salem finds out about the tower, then it's game over for Ironwood, Atlas, and everybody else, pretty much. Now, I'm still struggling to see how this big communications tower is going to revolutionize the world and defend them against Salem when they've got like flying Grimm that can pretty much fly at any sort of height. Maybe not out of space, but hey, if a god can destroy the moon, a lot of things can happen. Now, what I did like about this segment is the way that it was handled. It's a very serious kind of issue that they're discovering, and it was very well placed. Now, the reason why I say this is because I'll explain. If they had done this whole council meeting and then everyone dispersed, they did the whole Mantle kind of problem, and then they came back to this. Like, say for example, Weiss was like, by the way, Ironwood, do you remember that party we had at my dad's house where you were being interrogated? Well, I found this evidence right here. And then they kind of exposed him then. I think that would have been the wrong choice. The fact that they did this now with all the council members and Robin together, I thought was a very wise decision. Because it allows everything to come open and puts everything into perspective. Like I said, I didn't say, but Ironwood does in fact tell the councilman and Council S, I suppose, about Salem. And he tells Robin about her as well. That's why he wants the Amity Tower up. So he does actually reveal all that information to other people. Now, that basically sets it up nicely. So the way they handled this and where they placed it within the volume, I thought it was good. But do I think it was a little bit rushed? Maybe. Now, because it was a serious part, there wasn't much comedy. Unless you kind of count Jacques' facial expressions and his body language, that was pretty laughable. And obviously Weiss doing her, "Father, I arrest you." Wait, can I do that? I thought, that there was a technique used to break up the tension. Because at that moment in time, there was quite a lot of tension, and this whole episode actually had the whole tense vibe to it, because of what was going on. And the fact they dropped that little line of comedy was kind of, it was kind of smart in a way. Because it does kind of make you, haha, okay, fine, sure, makes sense. But then it kind of transitions nicely into another serious issue, which would be Mantle. And I'll talk about that in just a second. So, the expression on all of the characters' faces throughout this interrogation scene, was all justified. Every character was, involved, and admittedly, they handled their self pretty well. Jacques' demeanor went from very upstanding to full of himself to being on his high perch. I can't go any higher than that. And basically down to, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I didn't know he would do that. His true colours showed. Yes, he's so up his own behind that it's very irritating and hard to watch sometimes. But at the same time, he then goes and cowers like a mouse and a dirty, cheating rat like he is. So, not really development, but good showcasing of his character. Robin's reaction was very justified, as it shows that she really does care and is dedicated to helping the people of Mantle. Robin's been this character that is always like, okay, Mantle people, if you want someone who's going to represent you and be truthful to you and help you out whenever you need it, that's me. And it's kind of like, just an act. But the fact that she flips a chair over at this reveal and then says, those people's death are on your hands, it shows that it's actually, her caring. So I thought that was good for Robin's character. Oh, and main thing is, Penny's off the hook. Yay! So, we then transition next into Mantle. So, yes, without heat. As everyone kind of speculated, what's turned off the heaters in Mantle, and obviously people are going to freeze to death. So this idea of them breaking in and stealing fire dust crystals isn't actually too bad. It's just them trying to survive in a very harsh environment with the hand that they've been dealt with. Not very good. However, it's thanks to the riots and the mass amount of hostility and anger and panic is that we have another problem. It turns out that we have a Grimm invasion on our hands. And these new Grimm look pretty cool, actually. I love the fact that we're in a very snowy environment and it's very cold. And we've got these mammoth-like Grimm on the way, ready to kind of tackle it. We've got saber-tooth type Grimm. Two creatures that are very distinctive to the Ice Age. We also have a dragon Grimm that comes in, and I thought that was a pretty cool design. I actually really do like that. Is it a dragon or is it a wyvern? I can't really tell. All look the same to me. But yes. So again, the situation, this was very much likely to happen in terms of the plot relevance and in terms of how the plot was moving. And honestly, I'm a bit worried because this part of the episode to me is the most part that seems a bit rushed. The reason being is something like this is normally meant to happen at the end of a volume. We have people coming in, we had this big Grimm invasion like we had with the Fall of Beacon. It kind of all happened. The Farnes attacked, the Grimm invaded, and that all happened at the end, sort of within like the last 2 episodes. With this being episode 9, I think maybe it was kind of a little bit too early, but we'll just have to see how the rest of the volume plans out on that front. So then, we have Team Clover and Team RWBY and the rest of them basically all heading down to help the people of Mantle. And we know the plan, so obviously it's not going to go as planned. Because rule number 1 of anime, and basically any movie, if you know the plan, it ain't going to work. And well, they've got Crow on their team as well. So, yeah. More likely to not work. But they have Clover. I don't know. We'll have to see. So then, we basically end the episode off with... Huh. Well, I didn't put the image in. Anyway, we basically... I do apologise for this. Bear with me 1 second. Right, so we end the episode off really with Mr. Schnee getting arrested, and if you look at this image just here, if you look at Weiss's mother's expression, it's an expression of a very worried mother. Like, it's very clear to me looking at it that she is someone who's just genuinely worried about her son, and I'll get to why in just a minute, because he's one of the characters I do want to talk about in a little bit more detail. Neo and Cinder return, and it turns out they were looking for something. So, basically, these two characters return. We actually saw the character on the, Neo, basically, in the last couple of episodes, and she was just in disguise, and it seems like they were after something, and this thing was within the Schnee household. What it is, we don't know, but if I'm perfectly honest with you, I don't really care. Mostly because Cinder and Neo within this volume have been very much underwhelming, and they haven't been used to their full extent. Maybe the thing they're looking for is something to do with the relics or the maidens, which would basically make their characters a bit more kind of involved. But at the same time, why would any of the Schnee family have any information in regards to that, basically? Maybe she just wants to disguise the clothes of someone that's from the Schnee household so she can transform into Winter and bypass all the security for the Winter Maiden. I don't know. We'll have to find out and see how that goes. So then, changing back. Oh, and while I'm on the topic of Neo, I know this episode is going to get a lot of hype because Neo's back in it. But honestly, Neo's not really been a character for me that's been one of my favourites. I don't really like Neo all that much, and her new design for this volume really does not appeal to me at all. Like, I like the Neo from volume 1, 2, and 3, but anything past that, like 6 and 7, I just can't like. Sorry if you disagree with that, but Neo for me just doesn't do anything. Now then, two characters I really want to talk about in this episode, and that is, number 1, Ironwood. Ironwood's character is changing. You know, we know this because he's telling the council all about Salem, which in my opinion was a good thing to do, as it could help boost fundings and gain him more support for the Amity project. But at the same time, we also see the toll that all this work is taking on Ironwood's character. And it's having an effect on him, and it's running him down quite a lot. And we can see this from his expressions, from the way he's handling the situations. He's always walking over to one corner going, how could this have happened? Why does this have to happen now? And, you know, it's disbelief, and he keeps getting into that situation. Now, we can also tell that he's also being overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that he's being told, and the stress and the kind of being worn down, and the tiredness has taken effect on him, because he turns to Oscar and says, look, don't tell me anything else. I can't handle it. And to me, that line there is very telling. It tells us that he is, in fact, you know, feeling the strain and feeling the struggle. And it's expected of him, because he's got so many expectations, and he's trying to meet them all and save everybody. But in the end, he should have been kind of outing it a bit more. I don't really know what I was doing with that hand gesture, but hey. Now, speaking of Oscar, he's the second character I want to talk about. Yeah, that's right, don't look too shocked, Oscar. And this character really did show a more mature side to himself, and he has been throughout this whole volume. And the development that he's been having does it's really smart, actually. It's done in a way that makes you think that Osborn is slowly taking over because of maturity and the things that he's saying. But is Osborn's influence really taking over? I wonder. Because if you look at the way things are being said and dealt with, the advice that Oscar is giving out sounds similar to Osborn's. So it sounds similar to something that Osborn would say, but the methods and the way to go about their plans is in the opposite direction. Osborn was someone who kept all of his cards to his chest and didn't allow anyone to see, or help, or tell anybody anything. Oscar, on the other hand, is someone who wants to share all the information and asks for help. And yet, the words and dialogue are almost similar to both characters. So maybe it's a case of Osbin's ideology is kind of getting mixed up, but Oscar's personality is winning overall. Who knows? I just love seeing this development from Oscar's character because he is a really good character, and I do enjoy Oscar, especially in Volume 7. Now, really quickly, let's go over Whitley. So, real quick now, just want to say that Whitley running away was highly justified. And as bad as his father is, we have to accept the fact that his father was in fact his role model. Now, that's a very bad role model to have, but, you know, it's probably someone he aspires to be like. And seeing that being taken away from him is probably very hard and very difficult for him. And it shows that, you know, that could have been him in the future. If he carried on going and following after his father and acting like his father, then maybe he could have been arrested down the line for doing something that was a bit too shady and cheating and lying. You know, this man, being Mr. Schnee, was kind of very big, very kind of a public figure, very proud, majestical almost to himself, obviously. And Whitley kind of idolized that. And seeing how his father cheated to gain the seat council will kind of put doubts in his mind to say, what else has he done this bad? Now, I think the main thing to focus on here is the fact that when you look at the image of his mother looking at him like that with a sorry look in her eyes, that's her basically saying, look, I'm sorry you have to see this. I'm sorry that someone else is leaving you. And that's true. Whitley was abandoned by Winter, abandoned by Weiss, and is now being abandoned, or having his idol taken away, /father, taken away right in front of him. So he's losing another family member, and he's being abandoned all over again. Now, for a young kid like that to kind of have that happen to him constantly, it's going to definitely take his toll on him, and who knows, maybe he could join Salem's team afterwards. Well, that'd be a great way to end Volume 7 off. Whitley going to the dark side and joining Salem. Ooh, don't know why that would happen or how that would work, but it would be pretty cool. Now then, that's Whitley out the way. So overall, I thought this episode was a great way to bring RWBY back for the new year. And honestly, it's going to get a lot of people talking. Mostly because there's a lot to look at and a lot to speculate on. And there's also the fact that Neo and Cinder come back. Woo, great. But the fact is that we now have this full-scale invasion that's going to be attacking, going to need to kind of protect and fight at the same time. And it'll be interesting to see how they handle that and how things go. Now, animation in this episode was absolutely fantastic throughout. I loved it all. This scene in particular I really did like. Just the background, the lighting effects and everything. Beautiful. Sound and music all seemed to fit nicely and worked well, blend together. Voice acting was all good. Nothing really out of place as well, if I'm honest. All in all, good episode. If you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend for you to go and watch it. And obviously, if you've enjoyed this review, let me know by hitting that like button. Leave a comment down below on your thoughts on the episode and anything else. Start discussion. Always fun to have a talk about a show that we all enjoy. Apart from that though, subscribe if you're new so you never miss a video from me. And until next time, I hope you'll have an amazing day, and I'll see you then. Bye bye for now.